Hi, this is Brett Ingram, entrepreneur and award-winning product creator, and today I want to share with you 5 free tools to maximize your email marketing results. So, I don't know whether you're using email marketing or not, but if you aren't, you absolutely should. And here's why. Email marketing, even though it may seem a little bit old school, the fact is it works. People generate a list of subscribers that are either leads or maybe customers or anybody who's interested in your business, your website, or anything else that you have in contact with them. And it gives you the opportunity to market to them over and over and over again. You know, if you buy an online ad, that ad, when it's gone, when you stop spending, it's gone, and that's it. People saw it or they didn't, and it's over with. With most advertising methods, it works exactly the same way. The benefit of email marketing is when you have somebody on your list, you have the ability to mail to them over and over and over again with various different angles. You could try different pitches, you can promote different products, you can even promote affiliate products. And it costs you almost nothing to do continual follow-up marketing. So it's very powerful just from a sort of strategic or philosophical standpoint. But the reality of it is it also flat out works. While email, open rates and click rates and all those other things are down, the overall effect is still very positive, and the ROI is one of the highest of any kind of marketing or advertising mediums out there. So if you aren't using email marketing, I guess this is your bright big sign that says you should be. You need to be capturing the email addresses of every single person that you come in contact with from a business perspective. So leads on your website, if they're walk-in visitors to your store, whatever it is, you want to be capturing that, and then you want to be marketing to them. Now, I'm not going to go into the specifics of how to do the marketing and all that on this particular episode. What I want to share with you is tools to maximize that. But I wanted you to understand the importance of email marketing in case you're thinking, well, yeah, I use social media and email sort of old school. Well, that may be true, but it does flat out work, and there's a reason that companies continue to use it. Now, the challenge with email marketing is it's gotten a lot more complex. Years past, you pretty much, if you had a list, you could just start mailing it, and you'd get enough opens, you'd get enough clicks, you'd get enough inboxing that you didn't really need to worry about it. Nowadays, all of those rules have changed. With the proliferation of spam, the internet service providers have gotten very smart. They want to protect their subscribers because obviously people are going to cancel and stop using their email box if they think that it's just loaded with spam. So the internet service providers are trying to do the right thing, and they're trying to prevent spam, but that causes a problem for us if we're email marketers because sometimes marketing messages can seem like spam. So it's pretty complex if you don't know the right way to do it. And so I'm going to give you a quick overview on email marketing delivery or email delivery and deliverability. And then after that, the fact is it's about these tools that you can use to make sure you're doing it the right way and that you're getting maximum results. So just so you understand and we know how this all works. When we click send on a message, and let's say, we create a message for our prospects and then we send it out and it's a sale offer for one of our new products. When we click send, what happens is it goes out to the internet, and what determines whether or not it ends up in the inboxes of people that we're sending it to is depending on a bunch of factors. Now, the interesting thing is you might be thinking, well, yeah, but this person already expressed interest. They already opted in. They already gave me permission to send the mails. Well, they should have. I mean, you shouldn't be sending mail to anybody who didn't give you permission because that is technically spam anyway. But even if that is all true, in my case, I send my mails to buyers. And even still, a lot of it gets trapped in spam. A lot of it gets, never delivered to the inbox. It's in the promotions tab or whatever else. So there's a bunch of factors that affect the inboxing, and it's important to understand those so that way we can figure out what tools we need and how we can use those tools to maximize what we're getting. And here's the other issue. And why this is so important. When we click send and we send something out, if anything gets flagged, it doesn't just affect your email for that send. Maybe you send out 100 emails and maybe, 50 of those land in spam and the other 50 go through. You make some sales and you think, well, this is great, right? I made sales, so who cares? But the problem is, if the reputation of what you're sending is bad, okay, there's a delayed effect. And so what happens is, the first time you send it, you might get 50 through. The second time, you might get 48. The third time, you might get 46. But before you know it, within a couple of weeks, your email is listed as spam and you're only getting 10 or 15 of them through, or you're getting blacklisted and nothing's getting through. So it's important to be proactive about this and not wait for the problem. I'm going to give you a very heart-wrenching example of that in a second. So the thing of it is, it impacts your future sends too. So it's really important to understand it and to do it right. So the factors that are going to affect it are obviously the email addresses themselves. You need to be sending the email addresses where they're actual email addresses. So if there's bad addresses in there, if there are broken email addresses that are undeliverable, if emails bounce, so when they get to the other side, either the email box is full or it's not accepting new email or whatever. If any of them are spam traps, there are certain email addresses out there that are deliberately set up by internet service providers for the sole reason they know they're not legitimate. So if you're sending any emails to them, they know it's spam, and so it will affect all of the rest of your list. There are people that have not opened your messages for a long time, and so if your list isn't clean, your opens and your click percentages go down, that flags messages as potential spam if your email open rates. And then there are catch-all emails and temporary email boxes. So there are services out there that just provide an email box for somebody for a week or for a day. So they sign up, they do that, they sign up for a bunch of things, and then they disappear. The email box goes unchecked, and it's ultimately a temporary email box that, again, if you're sending to, the internet service providers are smart enough to figure this out and realize that what you're sending isn't high quality because your list isn't clean. And so the cleanliness of your list, you also have issues with the server that you're sending from. So if you're sending from your own email versus a third-party email, the IP address of the actual mail server matters. If you're sending from a joint account with a bunch of other users and they're spamming and you're not, that can also affect you. And the domain names themselves. So the domain names that you're sending from, but not so much where the email is coming from, but where the reply and from email addresses are. If those domains are bad or affected, that can affect your deliverability. So again, this isn't a course on deliverability, but I want you to understand it's important that we understand what it is that affects our ability to get things into the inbox and why it's complex, and then what tools we can use to be able to do that. So I'm going to share the tools with you in a second, but I want to share with you my personal story on this because I think it's powerful, I think it's important, and it's the reason why I'm making this for you, because I had these problems and I don't want you to experience them. So email marketing is a pretty substantial part of my entrepreneurial business, and it's something that I've always done, and for years it's been a very, very positive revenue source and very reliable. I can click send, I have a big enough list, I have enough customers that it's easy to make a bunch of sales by doing that. And so it was something I always counted on. And when, I was creating products and things like that, in the product creation process, you aren't making any money. You're putting money into it, you're spending time to make the product, but you don't cash in until you launch it. So the other thing about email marketing is that it was a great influx of cash in an ongoing basis that I could always count on. Well, several months back in the early 2023, I actually experienced a problem where I had one email account shut down and I had a number of my other email things blacklisted. And so what happened was, the effect of that was I went from sending these things and getting, 40 and 50% open rates and, 4 and 5 and 6% click rates and things like that, and high conversion rates and making lots of sales every day, to literally almost overnight, it's barely an exaggeration, maybe it was over the course of a week, I went to a point where I was getting 0.5% click rates, and my income almost completely dried up from it. So I was making only a couple of sales a day. I was making like 1/10 of what I had been doing. I did nothing wrong. I wasn't sending spam or sending to people that didn't accept my, my emails. They were all buyers. They were all customers of mine. So this is not about like black hat practices or doing anything wrong. I was doing everything right. But what I wasn't doing was monitoring the results other than clicks, opens, and sales. If that stuff was coming through, I was ignorant to it, and I said, okay, it's all good. And the reality of it is, what was happening in the background is there were some other things happening that I wasn't aware of. One of the services I was using, I was on a shared IP address pool, and a bunch of the people on my IP address were apparently sending spam. Well, as I continued to send, more and more of mine started to get marked as spam, and I didn't even realize this. It isn't until after, when I was in a cold sweat panic, and I started to look through to figure out what was going on, that I analyzed, found the root of the problem, and then was able to fix it. So that was a lesson that I learned. In addition to that, I had been sent a message from one of the email providers asking for more information about this, that, and I totally missed it. So that was my fault. But because I wasn't on top of it, what ended up happening is my account got temporarily suspended, and I had to go back and fight to get it turned back on, which I did, thankfully. But basically, all of these things can happen. And then there were a snowball effect of other issues. So you might think, okay, well, if that happens, I'll just export my list, go somewhere else, plug my list in, and start mailing again. It doesn't work like that. I tried that as well, and what happened was my reputation was still bad. My opens were not great, and because I was sending so much mail through a new provider, I ultimately got another account shut down. They closed my account and said, we can't allow you to send anymore because you got a couple of spam complaints or whatever it is. An ISP came back to us and said this is spam. So the lesson in this is that it's much more valuable and important to be proactive, because you can prevent a lot of this stuff from happening. Since I fixed it, and since I used the tools I'm going to share with you, it's not that I haven't had any issues, but I've been able to stop them and fix them long before they became problematic to my business. And that's what I want to help you do as well. So the first tool that I found is Google Postmaster. And Google Postmaster, if you just do a Google search for that, it's a free service. And what it allows you to do is add your domain names that you send from to Google. And when you do that, it lets you go in and search for all of the stats and all of the analytics and reputation metrics for that particular domain. So because Google is the most common email provider, depending on your list, you may have a different distribution, but on my list, probably 80% of my email addresses that I mail to are Gmail. And so if Gmail and Google don't like me, I'm in trouble, right? I'm not going to be able to get my messages through. And so basically, with Google Postmaster, it will track those domains. You verify it. Again, it's all free. And then on any given day, you can go in and you can look at the IP reputation. So that's where the actual emails are being sent from, the IP address. So this is where I was able to determine that one of the hosting accounts I was using for email marketing was I was on a shared IP, and the IP was bad because it was coming up as red or bad. So my domain name, you can check that reputation also, was good. So my domain was good, the domain I was sending from, but the service I was using to send was using an IP address that was blacklisted. And because it was blacklisted, none of my mails were going through. And if you do that enough times, it ends up affecting your domain reputation and all of your own emails as well. So the short-term effect is your emails don't get through. The long-term effect is it really affects you and will hurt your email marketing reputation. And so Google Postmaster is a great tool. You set up your thing one time, each domain that you send from, and you just go in every few days and check the domain reputation and the IP reputation you're sending from. And it will tell you good, medium, bad, low. It'll show you the trend. So you can see what domains you have might be trending down or trending up. I've had ones that have started low and got to a high reputation. I've had ones that started high and scaled back down to medium. And for the IP, if it's green, it's good. If it's red, it's bad. So it's very easy to understand. It doesn't require any technical knowledge, and it's a 5-minute setup. It's an awesome, awesome tool, and every email marketer should be using it. The next thing, and so what that's going to let us do in a nutshell is it's going to let us manage and view what our reputation is from Google's eyes. And since Google is one of the major email providers, that is super important. The next tool that I use is mailtester.com. And by the way, I will post all of these links on the website for the podcast. It's optYOUmize.com, optYOUmize.com. And I will post all these links here, so you don't need to write them down. Mail-tester.com is also a really great free tool. What it allows you to do is it gives you an email address, and you go into your email marketing tool and you send the email you're about to send your whole list to it first. And in 30 seconds, you go over and you click the button, it receives the email and it analyzes it. And it will tell you what the likelihood is of it getting through. It gives you a numerical score from 0 to 10, and it will also tell you each of the green, so the good stuff, the yellow, the warning stuff, and the red, the bad stuff. It'll tell you if the IP or domain is blacklisted. It'll tell you if your message is seen as spam, if the links in it look spammy, or the headline or the title, or any of the other issues you're going to have. It'll tell you about whether or not your email inbox is set up correctly. So whether or not ISPs will look at that and say, this is an untrusted sender because they didn't set up the right records for their email. So you don't need technical knowledge to use any of these. It's going to give you really simple color-coded responses, but it's going to let you know whether or not you're safe to send that. You know, if you're getting a 5 out of 10, if you send it, you're probably not going to really get much for results. You need to fix those problems first and then start sending it. So that's the great thing about mailtester.com. And again, it's free and it takes seconds, and you can test your actual email message that you're going to send. It sees where it's coming from, the IP that's going to send it, the content of the message, the links in there, the headers, all the other technical stuff. It tests and it will tell you. The third tool, and this isn't in full disclosure, is not totally free. You can use a free version of it, but the third tool is called zerobounce.com. And zerobounce is a list cleaner. So one of the challenges when you are sending emails is over time, a list degrades, it gets bad. So even if the emails that you're sending to are all legitimate and they're all people that want to hear from you, over time, people abandon their email boxes, they stop opening your messages aren't getting through. So you need to clean your list from time to time, and it's painful to scrape leads and make your list size go down, but it will actually make your opens and clicks go up. And it will make you look better to the ISPs, so it will actually improve your clicks, ironically, and they'll go up instead of down. But here's the thing, it isn't just about unopens anymore. It used to be you pretty much cleaned it out, and anyone who didn't open your message in the last 30, 60 days, you got rid of that. But now there are spam traps, hard bounces, disposable or catch-all emails, and using a tool like ZeroBounce, you upload your entire email list, and it will go through and analyze each one. And it will let you know whether it's a spam trap, whether it's undeliverable, whether it's any problem, and it will clean the entire list. So what it spits out for you is a list that you can use, you can upload, and you can mail with confidence, knowing that they're all highly deliverable emails. And so it's a great tool. It's actually really cheap. It's like I think it's like, I did like a 5,000 list the other day, and I think it was like $10 to clean the entire thing or whatever. So it isn't very expensive, and you only have to do it probably every 90 days to 180 days. It's not like you have to use it all the time. But you want to make sure you're cleaning your list on a regular basis, and particularly if you're moving to a new email provider or using a new email provider, because you want to make sure all the emails you're using are good. The next tool is mxtoolbox.com. And this is really awesome because this is a free suite of tools. Now they have all paid upgrades and all that stuff too, but you can literally just type in your domain name or the IP address for your email marketing, and it will tell you whether or not you're on a blacklist, which ones. It'll tell you your email health. So it'll tell you not just like Mail Tester will give you a score. Email health will give you a bullet by bullet breakdown of whether your DKIM records are set up right, your SPF records. It'll analyze your email server. It'll analyze your domain. It'll analyze everything about it, and it will tell you all of the issues you have. And it will tell you, again, green for good. It'll tell you the yellow warning ones, which are okay, but you could fix them for better results. And it will tell you any red or warnings. And it's all free. And so that will check your server. It'll check your DNS settings, which is just like your internet settings, and any of those kinds of things. So you're by using these tools, you're getting sort of a holistic view of all of your email sending practices and your potential results. Because if this stuff all checks out, then chances are you're going to have good results with email marketing. If it doesn't, the things that you need to fix in order to get those up and running. And the great thing about this is because they're so specific about what's wrong, all you have to do, literally, because this is how I did it, is whatever warning that comes up, just Google what that's called. And you can find all these resources about how to fix it, what things you need to do. And so if you're technical, you can do it yourself. If you're not, you can go on Fiverr.com, pay somebody $5 to do it, and they can fix up all the stuff for your email, and you'll know exactly what's wrong and exactly how to fix it. And the last tool I want to share with you, again, full disclosure, not totally free, but I think worth its weight in gold, is called warmupinbox.com. One of the things about email marketing is that when you have a list and you start to send, if the domain you're sending from and the IP address you're sending from are not already using and sending volumes of mail, what will happen is any ISP is going to flag that. They're going to say, wait a minute, why are 5,000 mails coming from this brand new email address? This must be spam. And so what you really need to do when you're starting email marketing is you need to warm up your inboxes. And the way you do that is by sending a small number on the first day and then keep gradually increasing it. And this will warm up the domain and it will warm up the IP address. So then ISPs will look at it and say, this looks like natural growth. So it's painful if you have a list of 5,000 you want to mail and you have to start by mailing 100 the first day. But it's well worth doing it because if you don't, what's going to happen is the whole thing is going to get marked as spam and you're going to be starting over. What Warm Up Inbox does is it's the middleman that does that for you. So you put in your email address that you're going to be sending from and you connect your email inbox. And what it will do is every single day, it will gradually send more email to that inbox. It will go into that inbox, open them up, move them into the inbox folder, mark them as important, reply to some of them, and it does it on a random basis. So it looks natural and authentic. So then when ISPs look at your email, it looks like it's getting traction. It looks like it's getting results. And this is a lot easier than trying to do this manually if you go in and you use Warm Up Inbox, because it will mark certain messages as important. So it's great for new email addresses and warming those up in order to be able to then send larger bulk. And once you've got one warmed up, I keep it running so it always gets a high percentage of opens and clicks. And then as you keep sending emails, or you can warm up additional addresses in the background, so that way if anything ever happens to your one email address, you can switch to another one pretty seamlessly. And so you could see email marketing, while it's really valuable, is pretty complex. And those tools will help you go a long way. So the takeaway here is that email marketing is still one of the most effective and profitable ways to reach customers, to make sales, and to generate revenue. But it's far more complex than just clicking send, because with all the spam out there, ISPs are careful to filter out anything that they don't think is quality. So using the right tools can help you hit the maximum number of inboxes and see problems starting before they become an issue and kill your campaigns. Use them to get in the inbox and stay there, and you can maintain a solid, reliable, and continuous revenue stream. As always, remember, until next time, no matter what you want out of your business and your life, don't compromise. optYOUmize.